If in your office, you as an intellectual worker were supplied with a computer display that was instantly responsive, how much value could you derive from that? We're going to try our best to show you rather than tell you.
Simply plug the Mac in and switch it on. Information, it's just all the time.
Everything has been leading to this.
Now it's time to get online.
Welcome, you've got mail.
And guess what? Everything you need.
This is going to be more important than it looks.
Please welcome to the stage Figma co-founder and CEO, Dylan Field.
Hello, and welcome to Config 2024. Thank you so much for everyone joining us today. It's just incredible to see you all here, and especially thank you to everyone who's joined us from far away, traveled so far to be here, and everyone at live streams, on the live stream, at a watch party. We're so grateful for you joining us. The impact that this community has had, the people gathered in the room today even have had over the past decades is monumental. Your designs have shaped the way that people think, and they've shaped the world. And it's been incredible to witness the exponential rise of software that exists in the world. And I believe this exponential trend will continue, and more software is about to be built than ever before. If you want your product to stand out, design is the differentiator. It is your craft that will separate out great products from the obvious solutions. And here are some of the people in the Figma community that have inspired us with their craft. Shen Yi pushes what's possible with 3D renderings in Figma. He builds the Vector 3 plugin, which enables anyone to turn vectors into 3D objects with just a click. Product designer Akansha Murtha brings new photo editing capabilities to Figma with her fractal glass effect plugin. And Double Glitch is helping us see beyond the limits of prototyping and what we can do on our platform. They even made Space Invaders in Figma. It's pretty sweet. And it is what you create, what all of you create, that continually pushes us to evolve our product and our craft. Over the last year, to try to keep up with our community, we've released a ton of new capabilities, including FigJam AI, an overhaul of compare changes, annotations, typography support for variables. There we go. And of course, multi-edit. It's not just the big things, but also the small things that matter, like page dividers. One of my faves. And today, I'm excited to share even more updates to support the end-to-end process of going from an idea in your head or a brainstorm in FigJam to shipping code in dev mode. This year, our launches are centered around 3 themes. 1, reducing complexity. Some of you might have seen that Figma is a bit complex these days, and it's grown in complexity over the past years. 2nd, a better developer experience. We want to improve the developer experience in Figma, and we know how many developers are here today watching, but also how many use our platform every day. And of course, AI. All right, let's get started. So this is what Figma looked like 8 years ago. So simple and so pristine. Since then, we've added a lot. We've launched a lot of new capabilities. Some people have suggested that we might want to kill some features. For example, Dan, at BetrayDan, I don't know why, writes, I want to see config 2024 where they announce what they are removing rather than what they're adding as new features. And this is one that, honestly, I've been thinking about quite a lot. So here's where I've landed. We're going to do the next scariest thing, which is a redesign. And I can't tell you how scary it is designing a new UI for Figma for designers. I also can't tell you how meta it is to be designing a new Figma editor inside of the old Figma editor. So a shout out to our very brave and very talented design team. It's been very inspiring to see us work on this. Now, before we continue and I show you some cool stuff, I want to recognize that a redesign can take some getting used to. So we're going to roll this out slowly, and we're going to stay close to your feedback. We're going to incorporate it and improve it. You'll be able to switch back and forth for a while we improve this. And yes, eventually, we're going to turn off the old UI. So with that, let's take a look at UI3, our redesigned interface. OK, so here I am in Figma. And you can see here that you have a brand new, shiny interface. You can see that you still have a lot of the same structure you're used to. We have our layers and some pages on the left. And you've got your properties on the right, but the toolbar has dropped to the bottom. And what we want, our intention here is to really bring your content to the front and center of the experience in Figma. And we want to help you stay in flow state as much as possible. For example, when someone requests a spotlight, nope, sorry, bud. When Raji's requested the spotlight, you'll notice that the UI has just kind of hidden away. And with that, as the UI is hidden, it makes it so that I'm able to get a little distracted by our friends online. As that happens, I am able to really keep in flow state and watch the designs go by. So if I want to stop following Raji now, you can see that I can really easily still collapse that state. But if I want to now bring the properties panel back, I can click here. And as I do that, you'll see that my properties panel comes right back up. And I'm sure someone backstage can restrict the access to this file. I'm going to refresh it just in case that matters. Can't keep up. All right. So as I go, you'll see that I can, I'm getting my properties panel on the right-hand side here. And with that, we're prioritizing the things that you're used to on the top right when I select a frame. However, if I select a component, you'll notice that we prioritize the component props and variables. Now, some other things to note are that I can also resize this panel. We've also done some things like we've clustered the X and the Y here with position, and width and height with auto layout for a simpler IA. And things that are relevant to selection are on the right-hand side as well. So I can mark this as ready for dev, or I can do some Boolean operations as well right there. So overall, we've tried to really clean this up and yeah, quite excited for you to see everything that we've done with this redesign. All right, well, we're going to keep going through this redesign, and I'm going to show you quite a bit more throughout today. But first, I want to show you some stuff about auto layout. So with auto layout here, you can see that I've got this frame. And as I move this frame around, you can see that it's not resizing, so there's no auto layout yet. Now, if I add in auto layout, so I'm going to click this button to use auto layout. As I do, oops, anyone had this happen before? Maybe instead, if I have auto layout with a down, nope. So what you really need to do to make this work is for auto layout to function properly here, you need to have nested frames, which is actually quite an advanced concept and thing to figure out how to structure in your head. And so today what we're doing is making it so it's a bit easier to get into auto layout by making something called suggest auto layout. If I press this, you'll see that I get all the frames that I need. And on the right-hand side here, we've got a stack of cards that are all inheriting from this component. If I drag this in, then what you'll see is as I resize here, it'll automatically snap to fill. And we also recognize that sometimes you might not want auto layout in the first place. And for example, if I drag these buttons in, I might drag them in here, expecting them to just plop in with absolute positioning. But instead, I'm getting them in a vertical stack. That's not what I want. Now, today, when you drag in Figma, if you then hit Control, you can just position those buttons. OK, so here's a bit of a bigger example. We have this tablet design here, also complex, also would be messed up if I just applied to auto layout. Let's see what happens when I click Suggest Auto Layout. So it just automatically figured it out, and it worked. I will say, though, that while this example does work, the larger your example is, the more unlikely Suggest Auto Layout is to work. So the smaller it is, the more likely it will just function properly. But I hope this makes it a lot easier to engage with auto layout and to start getting structured with your designs. Oops. All right, as part of our usability efforts, we've also thought ahead about how to make it easier to get started in Figma. And we've been working with our friends at Apple and Google to bring you the latest iOS 18 and Material 3 kits right inside of Figma. So you can see here, we've given our assets panel a bit of an overhaul, too, as part of this redesign. And if I click into one of these kits, you can see that it's really nicely sorted. And I can also search within the kit for what I want. Now, let's say I go to buttons, I can find what I need, and I can just plop it right in. We've also made a Figma simple design system to show you as well. So let's try to click this bottom tab and go into dev mode. Or sorry, first, actually, before we do that even, let's see what happens when we change our theming using variables and modes. So if I click here and switch to dark mode, you'll see that all that automatically works. For Material 3, I can switch from auto light theme to dark high contrast. And for the simple design system for Figma, we can also do this for going from responsive mobile to tablet. Now, if I switch over to dev mode, like I promised you earlier, and I'll make this a tad smaller, I can click on this tab bar here, and you'll see I automatically, through Code Connect, get the Swift UI code I need. I'll get the I'll also get the compose code I need. And in the case of the simple design system from Figma, the React code that I need as well. The code has already been written for all of these components, which makes it even easier to go from design to production. All right. Next up, cool. Not fixed quite yet. We hope these kits will help Figma be easier than ever to use and design and build with. And of course, extra special thanks to our friends at Apple and Google for working with us on this. OK. So to quickly recap, you've seen a redesigned UI. We've introduced Suggest Auto Layout and also UI kits in Figma. But there's more we can simplify beyond the editor. And in particular, we know that we need to focus on billing and sharing workflows. So I want to speak about that briefly. We build Figma for different personas: freelancers, small agencies, startups, large enterprises, and more. And our focus has been on making it really easy for product teams to collaborate within an organization, historically. That means that we've had a bit of a gap. And for freelancers and agencies working with external clients, we definitely have gaps such as extra costs when adding external collaborators to your team, and more as well. And today I want to share with you some of our plans for how we plan to start addressing and closing some of these gaps. This will all happen over time. So we always are a little bit nervous when we introduce and talk about things that are very forward-looking. But I also want to be a bit more open about this roadmap because I think it's very important. So first thing is, we're focused on connecting your workspaces. The working name for this is Figma Connect. We also do have Code Connect. And given that that might change as a name in the future, but you can think of it as sort of like Slack Connect, which is why we have the Connect in the name. Figma Connect will let you work with external clients in a new shared workspace using your existing Figma seats. And we hope to launch this in early 2025. Second, we want to solve for the transfer of projects from agencies to clients. We believe there's a number of ways to improve this workflow. And our goal is to ship some of these improvements in the coming months. So much more to come here as well. Finally, we want to bring more clarity and control to billing. And this is something that's going to be a top priority of ours over the next 6 to 12 months, I suspect. Recently, we improved this with 2 new features. I want to reshare them here and make sure that everyone is aware of them. First, you can increase the cadence of notifications from editor upgrades if you'd like on your team. And second, you have the choice to require admin approval for each editor upgrade as well. So if you prefer the current frictionless collaboration of Figma, you can leave it just the way it is. But if you want to have a manual upgrade approval, you can also set that up too, giving you the control and the flexibility that you need as that admin. It's just a start, and I'm looking forward to sharing much more with you about our billing strategy in the coming months ahead. All right. So we just talked a lot about how we're evolving Figma for our core users. Now I want to dive into how we're making Figma a better experience for developers. And to tell us more, yeah, developers. There we go. We got one in the audience right there. So to tell us more, let's welcome Emil, Engineering Manager for Dev Mode, to the stage. Welcome, Emil. There you go.
Thank you, Dylan. And wow, so good to see everyone here. Last year on this stage, we launched Dev Mode, a new space in Figma built entirely for developers to easily access everything they need to figure out what to build and to understand how to build it, helping developers implement designs faster and more accurately. To date, teams have marked over 4 million designs as ready for dev. Now, that's a lot of stuff to build. And over the past year, we've continued to make huge improvements to Dev Mode with things like the annotation tools, a revamped compare changes, and much more. These releases, as well as hundreds of other improvements, have been driven by you, our community. And we wouldn't be where we are here today without your feedback. So please keep it coming. We continue to read it. So what's next? Today, we're introducing some huge updates to dev mode to support the realities of an iterative design process. We want to simplify the inspection of large files, making it easier to find what you need. And we want to help you bring your code and design closer together to speed up all those developer workflows. With that, let's jump in. OK, so as a designer, this file probably looks pretty common. There's a bunch of riffs here, different ideas, and just a whole lot of work in progress. And this can be a bit messy, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. We know that good design takes a lot of iteration. Speaking of iteration, I recently made some updates to one of the designs here. Today, when I make these kinds of changes, it's not immediately obvious when I'm finished making my edits. But now, this frame has a new yellow indicator. It's in a new edited state, as you can see. Launching today, I can now click on this and remark it as ready for dev, leaving a note describing the changes. In this case, I added some spacing. There, I'm done with my changes. Now, let me put on my developer hat here. And just like this, the file is starting to look a bit scarier. What do I need to work on? And am I even looking at the correct version? That's something I ask myself every single day. Now, we shipped ready for dev last year, which helps. But we want to make it even easier for you to find what you need, and especially when designs live across many different pages in the file. So today, we're launching the new Ready for Dev view, which I can find here at the top left of any file with Ready for Dev content in it. With this new view, I can see all the different work in progress and everything that's ready for dev in the file, hiding anything that's not relevant to me as a developer. Yeah, I like it too. So here at the top, for example, we can see this message that Dylan, or myself, my designer persona, just left me, where we added some spacing. So let's click into this to get some more details. This brings us to Focus View, which we're also introducing today. Focus View cuts out all the canvas clutter and just shows me the design that I actually want to inspect and nothing else. On the right-hand side here, yeah, you can clap. That's allowed. On the right-hand side here in Focus View, we can also see a list of all the changes that have been made to just this frame. And it looks like, in addition to those spacing changes, Dylan also changed some things related to the responsiveness of the design. I can quickly select a version here in the past to see the differences, and I didn't see that many differences, which means this will probably be pretty quick to implement. But I do want to check on those responsiveness changes just to make sure. Now, of course, I could click into every single layer here and inspect the Flexbox properties. Well, that's going to take a long time, too long for this keynote. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the prototype viewer. Once it loads here, I'm going to resize, and well, this is not exactly what I want, right? It's just scaling the design up and down. But launching today, we have a new responsive setting for the prototype viewer. With this, I can easily see how my design should work across many different screen sizes, giving me the confidence that I am implementing it correctly. So now that I'm done implementing my changes, all I need to know is to let Dylan know. So launching today, we now have the ability to mark a design as completed, which I'm going to do. This will send a notification to Dylan and really close that loop. But of course, designing products is never a linear process. So when more updates roll in, say Dylan changes his mind, the designs will go back to ready for dev state and also send a notification back to me again. We hope that these new ready for dev flows will help you and your teams better stay in sync in what can be a messy process. But this process doesn't end in Figma. your designs also need to maintain consistency as you go to code and eventually reach your customers. Many of you rely on design systems for this. But all the benefits of having a great design system in Figma kind of go out the window if developers aren't using it as well. One of the reasons this is difficult today is that what you see in dev mode doesn't always reflect what you actually have in your code base already. Let's go over here and inspect this button to show you what I mean. When I click on this button here, it's not immediately clear to me that we already have existing React code for this component in our code base. And the last thing I want for somebody to do is re-implement this button like 10, 20 times. Not only does that waste a whole lot of time, but you're also likely to miss design details or forget about important things like accessibility. So this is why we built Code Connect, which is launching out of beta today. Code Connect is a way for you to bring your design systems directly into dev mode. And you've actually already seen this technology in action. It's the same tech that powers the code for the UI kits you saw earlier. But now I want to show you how you can make use of Code Connect for your design systems. So let's jump into VS Code quickly. Code Connect uses files that live in your code base to create a link between your code and your Figma component. And sometimes for good reason, components in design and components in code are just set up and structured differently. You work in different ways, and that's OK. With the Code Connect SDK, you can describe these differences with a few lines of code, which is what we've done here. Once we're done, all we need to do is run a command to publish these changes to Figma. Oops. Let's see if I remember this command. There we go. Let's head back over to dev mode. So we'll soon see this code show up for this button. But remember, it's not just any code, but it's actually real code from your own design system. And there it is. As we select other component, yes. As we select other components, like this card here, you can see that we also have code for these. Let's stick to this button and open up the component playground. If you don't know the component playground, here you can change props and variants and so forth to get a sense of your design. And the great thing with Code Connect is, as we toggle these things here, you can see that the code automatically reflects what is in the design. Let's say hello to our wonderful community, for example. And you can see that the code updated. So the code is always in sync with your designs wherever you view them. We believe Code Connect is really going to help teams drive adoption of their design systems to ensure that code that already exists is never being rewritten. A couple weeks ago, we sat down with the team over at Spotify to hear about their experience with Code Connect. So let's play that video.
Came out and I did this big Slack post as like, forget developing something internally, let's just go all in on Code Connect. And all the emojis, everybody's like, yes, no brainer, just do it, just do it. And we very quickly, within those 2 days, turned around implementing it for the entire design system. We were able to make an assessment that Code Connect will save engineers time. We were able to see that the ROI made it a no-brainer to continue rolling out Code Connect across the other engineering disciplines.
Huge thanks to the team over at Spotify. Hearing about their success with Code Connect and how quickly they got it set up has been super exciting for me. OK, so that was a lot of new functionality for dev mode. To recap, Code Connect is out of beta today with new improvements like surfacing the connected code in the component playground, a faster setup process, and support for React, React Native, iOS, and Android. We're also launching the Ready for Dev view, Focus view, and new statuses for edited and completed. Code Connect for UI kits will be available on Pro and above, and all other features will be available on organization and enterprise plans. And everything is available starting today. All right, Dylan, back over to you.
Thank you, Emil. Good job.
T-shirt?
We can find out about the T-shirt. All right. So let's talk about AI. You might have noticed this little sparkle at the bottom of the toolbar and wondered what it is. This is our new Actions panel. And Actions can do all sorts of things. You can type in it and trigger all sorts of commands from within Figma. It is also the new entry point for AI. Our approach to bringing AI to Figma is to address real pain points that impact your workflow and your craft, so you can explore more of the option space and be more creative. Jordan Singer planted the seeds of these ideas years ago when he explored GPT-3 and what he could do with his designer plugin. And we're so excited that he joined our team last year. The entire team at Figma has been working on some of these things that you're about to see, and I'm very excited to show you what we are going to be able to do. So there's 3 things that we're focused on with this functionality. First, getting started. Who hasn't faced a blank canvas before and wondered how they could get through it? Second, finding what you need, and who doesn't want to find what they need? Third, staying in the flow and making sure that you are not hitting the speed bumps in your design process and that we're able to help you be more creative. So let's dive in. All right. So I'm going to click on the little sparkle, and I'll start with Make Design. This feature helps us go from a prompt to a design, and you can use it to get past the blank canvas problem and quickly explore variations. This is just the start of what we want to do here, but I'm really excited to share it with you because I think it indicates a lot of directions you can go, which I'll share more about a little bit later on. So I click Make Design. I can start typing in what I want. So for example, let's type in a pizza finder app with a map and a card for a selected restaurant. Now I'm going to say make it. So you'll see that it says working in the bottom. And what's happening here is that as it's working, it's communicating with an LM, in this case OpenAI, and then it's pulling in images as well from a diffusion model. It's using all that, doing all that, and figuring out how to lay out a screen using some design systems that we've created at Figma. You can see it's got Tony's Pizza, which should actually figure out how to do the letters for, maybe not all the letters. From there, you can see that we've got selected state. I can change the theme really easily. And I can also make more changes. So for example, this color right here, I can easily change it to whatever I'd like. I can change my corner radius. So you'll see over here in these buttons, as I change that, it will shift. I can change my spacing. And I can change the font that it's using as well until I find what I want. OK, so let's try something that's a bit more complex. Let's try a portfolio website. It's more of a desktop and web-based target. So I'm going to go back to Make Designs. And this time I'll say a personal portfolio. And let's make it interesting. So let's do an architect, probably a sustainable architect. So let's see, website for a sustainable, and we'll make it fun. We'll call it a Middle-earth architect. If I can spell architect. All right, make it. And let's see what it comes up with. So it comes up with eco-architect. It's definitely bringing in the sustainability right away for designing sustainable spaces in Middle-earth based in Rivendell. It's Elrond, of course. He's our architect that we're focused on today. And it's going to pull in some images as well. You never know what it comes up with, so it's always a surprise, which is pretty fun. He seems very serious. And I really like, we got some nice Hobbiton eco village there. I wouldn't mind moving in. Some people have referred to me as the Hobbit before. Yeah, I mean, even got client testimonials, impact, contact us. So maybe what I want to do is maybe make it easier to reach out and contact our architect here. So I'm going to go to the prompt portion, and I'm going to write in add a contact form. Oops. Before the footer. And make changes. And let's see what it does. OK, it actually worked. So we have a little contact form now right above the footer. This is just a start. And I could do this all day and play around with this, and I have. But just to quickly show you some of the Hall of Fame of what we've seen so far people make on our team. Here is a ride-sharing app, for example. You can see here there's a bit of a financial application, something to find restaurants. Here's a task tracking app. We're really trying to make it so that you can make the most obvious thing in the most obvious way possible just to get over that blank canvas problem. Here's a restaurant website or a coffee website. This one's pretty fun. It's a cyberpunk futuristic fashion website. And with it, you can see some pretty neat designs. Like, I wouldn't mind this jacket, I'm not going to lie. Or you could just maximize your social media engagement. That works too. Influence Max has got all sorts of great plans, apparently. We also have gotten a lot of feedback as we've beta tested this feature. And the number one piece of feedback we've already received, and I suspect many of you might have, is, can I use my own design system with this? And the answer is not yet, but we want to get there. And so we've started doing some experiments. They're early experiments. But for example, we've been collaborating with Chen, who makes a really interesting crypto app design kit in the community. And these are some example outputs from that. We've also been collaborating with our friends at Google and experimenting with Material 3 as well. And nothing to share in terms of something that's you can use today, but here are some example outputs that have been generated from that experiment that I think are really quite good and impressive. And not only that, but this was powered by Google Gemini as well. And really interesting to see how different models make different types of content. So as we showed you, earlier, too, the Material UI kit uses Code Connect to give you that real dynamic code when you develop your Android app with Compose. We can do the same thing here, go into dev mode, and get the code right out. So that was Figma AI and Make Designs. We're just getting started, and so excited to keep building this with all of you in our community and move this forward. OK, next up. I don't know about all of you, but my Slack has a lot of things that look like this. This is an example channel from Uber called Design Finder. And they use it to post screenshots from which they can then search for assets in Figma. So for example, here's a screenshot of the app. And they're saying, hey, does anyone know where the Figma file for this design is? Does anyone else have a channel like this? Several of us. OK. So I'm going to paste this right in. And one thing that I promised to show you was, how do you find what you're looking for? So let's try to do that. I'm going to now use this search for similar command to see what it does. And right away, it finds for me within Figma the right screen for that app. And it's all in vector forms. I can navigate this. I can change things. It's exactly what I need. Now, maybe I'm thinking to myself, oh, man, OK, I need to get the screen that's after this next, and I just totally don't remember what it's called. Probably some of you have had that happen before as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to search here for a string that I remember on that screen, which is confirm your pickup spot. And I immediately get screens that are relevant. So now just drag that in as well. And now I've got my pickup spot right there. And I was able to do it. It's pickup refinement. Apparently, that's the name. I never would have remembered that. But now I can find it with just the string. OK, next, what I want to do to build this out is I know there's like this icon somewhere where it's sort of like a circle. It's got almost like crosshairs to center the map, but I don't really remember what it's called. So I'm just going to draw this with the pencil tool. Maybe that'll work. So I'm going to draw a circle. And it's not my best work, but all right, I'm going to group this and say search for similar. And now if I go to components, you'll see that I get the center tool icon right there. I can just drag that in. So what we hope is that this will make it much easier to find what you need in Figma. Now, if you're not on a big Figma team, you might be wondering, well, what does this mean for me? That's nice, but it doesn't apply. It actually is still interesting, I promise. So if we go to the Community tab here and search for example, admin dashboard UI, you'll see that it's able to search across our entire Figma community. And you're able to then pull in the result that you want. So for example, here's a beautiful dashboard that I was able to just pull in from the community. And this is also attributed right away to the creator. So if I click here, you can see that this is made by Shugab. And Shugab not only has exactly what I pulled in, but I can now also look at all the, not that, but all sorts of other pages within their UI. And I can also look at other things that they've created in the community as well. Honestly, I think this is one of the most interesting parts of search, is being able to find all these cool fragments within the community that you can pull from. All right, so visual search for the community will be coming soon. We want to make sure we iron out the details first, but visual search for teams will be live as part of this AI rollout. OK, next up, how do we help you stay in the flow using AI? So this is a recipe app that I want to build out. And you can see there's some ingredients, but I'd like to make them longer. I'd like to put a picture in, things like that. So let's see what I can do to speed up my workflow and stay in the flow and get this out. So I'm going to first just select this component. One thing that I typically do is I might duplicate this component a few times. You'll see now I get this helpful suggestion to replace content. If I press it, it'll just replace that with the right ingredients that I might want. If I go to the parent frame, I can just click and drag. And now, it's super easy to insert all sorts of great content into your application. So I'm going to give this a name. I see my Aunt Jerry sitting right there. She's really a big fan of lemon bars. She's been making lemon bars for me for a long time, so we're going to put in lemon bars. And I'm going to say make an image. And I'm just going to type in lemon bars, make it. And I'm going to get 4 different images of lemon bars, hopefully. I'm always very nervous waiting for the results to return. OK, so let's see which one looks the most appetizing. I like that one quite a lot. And you can see we have a recipe description, too. Now, I don't really want to go and think about what text I should put in there right now. So instead, I'm going to say rewrite this and say a description for Aunt Jerry's lemon bars. Indulge in the delightful taste of Aunt Jerry's famous lemon bars. OK, it really went long there. Let's say a bit longer and more eloquent. Nope. OK. This is all beta, OK? So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Another thing we can do is we can remove the background. So let's say that I've got this image here. It's a component. And I want to see what this looks like if I remove the background of that image. So I'll press remove background. And it should remove. Now, one thing that we often do as designers is we, after creating an app in English, we want to see how it's going to look in other languages. And so I can also translate this to other languages as well. Now, I want to see if my design works in German first, because these are very long strings. And so let's see what happens. All right. There is a slight issue that I found, which is that in German, you can see there's truncation here. And so what I'm going to do is, in this main component, I'm going to make it just a little bit wider in order to make it so that all of that just works regardless of whatever language I'm in. All right. Let me go back to English. Perfect. So one other thing on the screen before we move on, you're going to notice that there's a bunch of different frames, components, and I don't know about you, but I don't really want to hand this off to everyone and have them see my messy layer names. A little bit self-conscious, especially in front of all of you about that. So I'm just going to say name layers as well and see what happens. And what should happen is that it's going to go through all of these different layers. And instantly rename them. I'm not going to lie, that's one of my favorite features I'm showing today. So we finish up the screen. I'm going to pull it over here. And now we've got this entire flow. So what would I do next? Next up, I want to prototype this. I need to add some noodles in and figure out the different sources and targets for my prototype. But what if AI could help here as well? So we're going to type, or go to make prototype and see what happens. And you can see that it's starting to draw the connections between my screens. And it even gets the search as well. So let's see what the preview is going to be like. If I click, I can see that it's working. I can go to my, it says lemon cookies there, but that's OK. And I can even go back and just really easily navigate my application here. Even scroll. And if I go to the responsive tab in the viewer, I can show off that responsive viewer one more time. It's kind of fun. All right. So all the AI features you just saw are now in beta. That beta will be rolling out with the UI3 beta. We don't know how many people are going to be using this or how much they'll be using these features yet. And we don't know the underlying costs, just to be very honest about it. So this year, we're going to absorb those costs in 2024. And sometime in 2025, we're going to update everyone on additional fees for these features once we understand more what the usage looks like. The generative features you've seen today were built with all off-the-shelf models. And as you try these features out, you'll see they're a good start. But there's a lot more we can do to accelerate you further in your workflow. There's a lot of context and nuance around design that today's models don't have. And to build the most useful AI for designers, we need to develop models that better understand design concepts and how to apply them in Figma. One example is our design generation feature. It's a good start, but as you use it, you're going to see that it gives you the most obvious solution in the most obvious form possible. And you also see that you really want to make it work with your own design system. To make this happen, we need to train Figma AI models on the way design systems are built, as well as those design concepts in Figma. We see a world where our rudimentary design generation features evolve into a way for you to explore the option space of possibilities, a way for you to rapidly navigate the idea maze and create more unique designs. The way to get there is that we need to train models that actually understand UI. So we need to start training on Figma data, and we want to share our approach to doing that with you. I want to do this in the most transparent way possible, so like literally here are the settings that you can toggle. Starting today, admins can control these settings, which will go into effect on August 15th. Starter and professional plans are opted into content training by default, and they can also opt out of that if they like. Due to contractual agreements, organization and enterprise plans are opted out by default. Regardless of whether you opt out or opt in, we're committed to protecting your data and respecting your privacy. All right, so you just saw Figma AI. This is just a start, and there's so many more opportunities for how we can help designer workflows. Today, in addition to AI, we launched a redesigned Figma editor. We launched updates to dev mode, including the GA of Code Connect and, hold on, can someone pull up my speaker notes? Sorry. One sec. Let me see if I can fix this. Oh, yes. OK. We actually have one more thing to announce. Today, I'd like to announce and introduce you all to Figma Slides. Like Figma design, Figma Slides is purpose-built for collaboration, and I can see that Mihika has entered the file. Oh, Mihika is cursor chatting. Dylan, should I come up now? Yeah, go for it. Everyone, please welcome Mihika to the stage. Mihika is the product manager for Figma Slides. Mihika, how excited are you to be launching Figma Slides at Config?
Honestly, Dylan, it is completely surreal, but I'm so stoked on behalf of the phenomenal Figma Slides team to be debuting Figma's next new product.
One fun fact about Figma Slides is that it has originated as a Maker Week project, which is our internal sort of hackathon. And it's been amazing to see the bottoms-up effort come to life. Back in Maker Week, fun fact, you called the project Slides.
Yes. And Dylan made me promise that we wouldn't go to market with Slides as the name of the product.
You may have lost that battle, but I'm going to let you do the demo. So see ya soon.
See ya. Across the years, we've seen many of you use Figma in unexpected ways. In fact, last year alone, we saw over 3.5 million presentations created inside of Figma. Show of hands, how many of you are using Figma for your slide decks today? Kudos to all of you for presenting without speaker notes all these years. Now, all too often, your slides inside of Figma look a little something like this. You have prototyping noodles that you have painstakingly wired up across the entire file, only to realize that they no longer make sense the second you reorder 2 of your slides. You speaker notes littered across the entire canvas, and perhaps most painful of all, the second you need to collaborate with the rest of your team, you're going to export your mocks and slides one by one into another tool. And yet, you still build in Figma. Figma Slides channels the power of Figma in a form purpose-built for telling your story. After all, visual communication is the most powerful form of storytelling. Now we're going to slide into our demo. OK, now before people start requesting edit access to this file, if no one requests edit access, I promise to make the file public right after this keynote, OK? OK, so here we have a pre-launch review for a new product, Earthling. In Figma Slides, we sweat the details so that you wouldn't have to. So for example, if I wanted to go ahead and change this slide from white to black, you'll notice that the text color updates automatically as well. Not only does this work with black and white, but with any color in our color wheel. This way, you can focus on the big picture. Speaking of big picture, over here, we have grid mode. We've seen all of you leverage the power of the infinite canvas inside of Figma, and we wanted to give you a bird's eye view into your entire presentation. So you can go ahead and better structure and massage your narrative. So if I want to go ahead and move this research section up, I can do so easily. And if I want to go ahead and reorder my slides, you'll see that everything reflows. Now, I don't know about you, but when I'm pulling together a presentation, I'm often going to cobble together slides from various sources and pull them into my file. See here, I pulled together slides from 3 different templates and have myself a little Franken deck. But we also give you the ability to ensure that your entire deck has a consistent look and feel by giving you a template picker where you have the ability to use different styles in order to ensure your fonts and colors are all in order. So let me flip this into the same style as the rest of my presentation and go ahead and shuffle the colors as well. I can also use this view to animate my slides. And we've brought in the best of prototyping into Figma Slides as well. So I can go over into my Animate tab and change the transition from none to my favorite, Smart Animate. Now, if I go into my presenter view, which has my speaker notes right here, I'll be able to test out my transitions. All right, now let's zoom into slide 16 for some focused editing. I see here that this slide needs a little bit of tweaking. First of all, the text, there's just way too much of it. So when it comes to AI inside of Figma Slides, not only do we have the actions panel that Dylan just walked you through, but we also have this custom text tone dial. If I want to go more concise and a little more professional, I can just drag the dial and see my text automatically update. You can use this exact same tone dial to take an outline and flesh out your entire presentation. Now, over here on the left, I have an image. And oh my God, I have a typo in my image. Now, most of the time, anytime you spot something wrong with your designs, you need to go back into Figma, edit the designs there, re-export it, and come back into your Slides tool. Well, we support seamless copy-paste throughout all of our products. And if I want to drill down and edit my text directly in here, I can do so as well. Not only that, but I can take advantage of the responsive design from earlier in order to better have this mock fill the space. All right. Now, just as dev mode gave the ability to two totally different audiences, designers and developers, to operate in the same file with their own distinct toolkit, so too does Figma Slides. Introducing design mode. Now, I see all of my Figma design favorites are right here. Auto layout, just one click away. Vector editing, bam. And if I see that this text here needs a little bit of hanging punctuation, I can go ahead into my detailed editing and toggle that on. What's really nice is that when I go back into Slides mode, all of this stays editable as well, so that my collaborators can take advantage of the edits that I'm making. All right. Now, while I'm so stoked for all of the creation features inside of Figma Slides, I am equally excited to debut a lot of the way that we have rethought the presentation. In particular, whenever I'm giving a presentation, I pretty much feel like I'm talking to a wall. Not all audiences are as phenomenal as you guys. So, inside of Figma Slides, we tried our best to turn one-way presentations into two-way conversations. Let's say I wanted to bring in an interactive design into my deck. A lot of the time, the way that you're going to do this is via a screen recording. But anytime you edit your designs, you waste time recording and re-recording, and most designers give up and just use static mocks. Well, with Figma Slides, we give you the ability to copy a prototyping link, paste it into your deck, and have it load automatically. This way, when I hit present, I have the ability to engage directly with the presentation. So I can go ahead, hit the search bar, scroll over to the map, and move around. And even cooler, if I go ahead and spotlight Raji, I can see him interact with the prototype. Look, Ma, no hands. All right. Now, whenever I'm giving a presentation, I'll often stop for some questions, see how the audience is feeling, and most of the time, crickets. Well, inside of Figma Slides, we've brought in polls, face files, and more in order to keep your audience engaged. So what Config 2024 launch are you most excited for? We have our Figma Slides team voting on this file live. On top of this, as a PM, one of the biggest struggles I have is constantly chasing down my stakeholders for alignment. And so we've brought alignment scales to Figma Slides. I snuck this one in before the demo this morning, and we're going to vote on whether we strongly agree or strongly disagree whether Slides is the superior name for this product.
Thank you so much. Mihika, thank you. Figma Slides is rolling out a beta starting today. We've got a gallery of templates to get you started. And of course, you can even create your own for your team to use. It's free for everyone during 2024 and in early 2025. It'll continue to be free on starter plans or $3 to $5 a month, depending on your paid plan. All right. To learn more about all the new features that we launched and shared today, check out the deep dives on AI, Dev Mode, Code Connect, and Figma Slides. We couldn't squeeze everything into today's keynote, and so we have just a few more updates to share, and I'll do them fast. One is for our desktop app. We have a redesigned desktop app tab strip, an updated new tab page experience, and also a new file experience in the file browser. And the next one I'm especially excited to share. We also have pages in FigJam. You can now add multiple pages to a FigJam board. And I've been making such great use of this. We are loving this inside of Figma. OK, we launched a lot of stuff today. And as we close, I have some parting thoughts that I want to share. To build more unique products in a future with AI, your craft will be the differentiator. For us at Figma, craft is both seen and also felt. And we know we need to continuously raise our bar to meet yours. This means continuing to expand the breadth of our capabilities while also improving the quality of the software that you use every day. You're going to hear Jesper, the CEO of Teenage Engineering, and me talk more about this in our closing keynote later this afternoon. And please join, because I think it's going to be my peak cool moment to be sitting next to Jesper on stage. Everything you saw today would not have been possible without hundreds and hundreds of Figmates that worked on these features. So please join me in giving them a round of applause. Figmates and the Figma community, I am so excited to figure out and work through the future of design and computing with all of you. I want to thank you all for being here with me today. and I cannot wait to meet many of you today and tomorrow. Now, please go and enjoy config.
Hi, all.